Good evening, everyone. Here comes another life story. The young nurse announced in a half whisper as she straightened the stack of patient charts on the reception desk. Her colleague, a slightly older woman with silver threads in her bun, glanced down the corridor, then leaned closer. Look, Dr. Andrew is back again with his daughter. That makes it the fourth shift in a row. A tiny girl, no more than 6, sat cross legged on the brightly painted carpet of the children's corner, shading a sky blue butterfly. She hummed to herself, unconcerned by the grown up's rushing footsteps. The young nurse frowned. Poor man, all the way from another state, and the little one is supposed to start first grade this fall. Kindergarten is behind her, but she never reaches a classroom. She follows her dad through every corridor. The older nurse sighed. And you did not hear what happened? Because you were on holiday, right, Meg? Right, Nora. First day back, and I walk into a swirl of rumors. Meg lowered her voice. Where's his wife? Linda, wasn't it? Gone, Nora answered flatly. Left town 3 or 4 weeks ago with some boyfriend. Abandoned both husband and child without a backward glance. She shook her head. Andrew keeps moving like a shadow, yet he turns into pure sunshine for the little girl. Management gave him extra time to find a nanny. Meg's brows knit together. Our chief can do that? Oh, he can and did. Though to be fair, the chief owes Andrew a favor. You know that wealthy patient in intensive care. People say she could buy 10 hospitals the size of ours. Every surgeon refused the case, except Andrew. He threw himself into surgery, refused to let her die, and now she lies in a deep coma. He hardly leaves her side. Meg exhaled. Does anyone give her a chance? Not really. They call her survival a miracle already. Nora nodded toward the children's corner. The girl's name is Katie. Clever, always smiling, never underfoot. I only wish her life were easier. At that moment, Dr. Andrew strode from the elevator, white coat fluttering behind him. Ladies, I am placing new orders for the patient in room 7. Nora hurried after him. Any encouraging signs? Too early, he said, lowering his voice. But I feel a flicker of hope. Let's keep it quiet for now. Katie heard everything. She knew how fiercely her father worried over the woman in room 7, and she had overheard whispers that he alone had kept the lady alive. Pride warmed her small chest, yet something else tugged at her heart. Pity for the silent stranger who slept through daylight. Earlier that afternoon, Katie had been building a paper castle when a tall man with polished shoes sat on the couch near her corner and began talking on his phone. She had not intended to eavesdrop, but his words swirled like dark clouds. He mentioned that pushy doctor, more than once, each time with colder contempt. Now, while her father and Nurse Teresa vanished into the procedure room, Katie tiptoed toward room 7. A junior nurse spotted her. Dragonfly, you cannot enter, the nurse whispered, kneeling to eye level. Katie folded her hands. I know. I will just stand at the door. If she wakes while Dad is away, I can fetch him. The nurse? Katie believed Nurse Teresa had called her Masha, smiled sympathetically, and allowed the child to remain at the threshold. Inside the blackness of her coma, Valerie sensed voices. For what felt like countless nights, she had fought a sticky darkness that clung to her limbs and thoughts. Where was Victor, her beloved husband? Why did he not reach out? A new sound entered, light as a silver bell, definitely a child's voice. If children were nearby, the place could not be wholly dreadful. Valerie pushed through the syrupy gloom and pain exploded across her body. It was exquisite. Proof of life, proof of nerves sparking again. She tried to part her eyelids and could not suppress a groan. A flurry of motion followed. Run for your father, someone said in that bell-like voice. Another presence pressed a gentle palm to Valerie's shoulder. Easy now. You are in hospital. Please stay still. Can you hear me? Yes, Valerie whispered. Staff converged. An injection cooled the fire. Exhaustion dropped onto her like a quilt. She slipped back into sleep, yet it felt like honest rest rather than void. When she woke again, daylight glowed on eggshell white walls. An IV dripped overhead like a crystal pendulum. A doctor, mid-40s, weary eyes, soft smile, leaned closer. How do you feel? Confused, she said. How long have I been here? Nearly 3 weeks, he answered gently. 3 weeks? Her throat tightened. Only yesterday she had stepped from her car in front of their house. Then darkness. Where is my husband? We notified him last night when you regained minimal consciousness, the doctor explained. It was almost midnight. He said he would come today. A creak announced the door's opening. Victor entered, his expensive jacket still immaculate. Valerie, you gave us all a scare. He sat but did not kiss her. You know how work piles up. His phone vibrated. Pardon, a crucial call. He left the room, returned moments later, and glanced at his watch. I must dash to an important meeting. Rest up. Without waiting for a reply, he slipped away. Valerie stared at the door. Something was terribly wrong. Victor adored her. He would never leave her bedside under normal circumstances. The surroundings looked like an ordinary city hospital, not the private clinic Victor always promised for any emergency. Was he in danger, or was she? The doctor returned. Valerie's pulse skittered. Doctor, please help me pretend I am gone. I need the truth. His eyes widened. That is out of the question. Do you realize the legal consequences? She met his gaze. Have you ever been betrayed? A shadow crossed his features. Yes, I have. Before he could say more, a nurse peeked in. Doctor, the patient's husband is waiting. He sighed. All right, I do not know how this ends, but I will do as you asked. He led her through a quick plan, ensuring the heart monitor would remain hidden by a drape and a sheet pulled high. Dr. Andrew stepped into the corridor. Victor loomed, impatience etched on his face. What took so long? Victor barked. I am sorry, Andrew replied in a grave tone. There is no easy way to say this. Victor's eyes twitched, yet Andrew merely shook his head and walked away. Victor marched into room 7 and halted. A body lay beneath a white sheet, utterly still. A long, breathy exhale left his lips. He smiled, a thin curve, as if tasting victory. Pulling out his phone, he dialed. Hey, sweetheart, it's done. She's gone for good, he murmured. We will pay those guys half. Their delay nearly ruined everything, but now we are free. Beaches, oceans, the whole world. He pocketed the phone, turned, and froze. Dr. Andrew stood in the doorway, arms folded. How long had the physician been listening? Victor started to shrug, then remembered the empty bed. There was no witness to contradict him. Confidence returned, but when he looked back, the figure on the bed was no longer still. Valerie lay on her side, camera app open, recording every syllable. Victor's jaw sagged. You... And I heard everything too, Dr. Andrew said evenly. I will testify. Victor bolted past the physician. You will all pay, echoed down the corridor. Andrew took one step after him. No, Valerie whispered, voice shaking. Specialists will handle him. Please, just leave me for a moment. Andrew nodded and stepped outside. Alone, Valerie pressed her palms to her eyes and wept, perhaps from relief, perhaps from grief. Time slipped by until she sensed gentle breathing beside her. She lowered her hands. Katie, the little girl from the corner, perched on the mattress like a small owl. You are grown up, Katie said. Why are you crying? Adults cry too, Valerie answered with a watery smile. They do, but only a little, Katie declared. When Mom left, Dad cried exactly 2 tears. Valerie chuckled through her tears. Dragonfly, what is your name? Katie examined her suspiciously. Did Dad tell you? No, I guessed. The child sighed. Katie, here everyone calls me that, but Dad calls me Dragonfly. Warmth spread through Valerie's sore ribs. They talked about butterflies and bravery until Dr. Andrew entered again, scanning the room. Katie, I have looked everywhere. He started to scold. Valerie caught his sleeve. Please, don't be cross. Your daughter is marvelous. She helped me steady myself. Andrew sighed. I must bring her along. I still have not found a nanny. The next morning, uniformed officers arrived. They spent hours in Valerie's room, gathering her statement and the damning recording. Later, officials from a regional task force joined them. The chief physician paced the hallway as though walking a tightrope. By evening, Valerie voiced a request. I would like to go home. The chief nearly choked. Impossible. Your condition remains delicate. Then assign Dr. Andrew to my personal care, she said. Put him on official leave. I will fully reimburse the hospital for his salary and donate a generous sum for renovations. The chief hesitated. On the one hand, it bordered on coercion. On the other, everyone benefited. No harm, only good. He agreed. Katie danced in Valerie's foyer the next day, announcing that the house felt perfect. Valerie laughed and declared that she would be delighted if they both stayed as long as they wished. Andrew flushed with apology, but Valerie waved him off. Stop apologizing for your child. She is sharper than many adults. The trial began 6 weeks later in a grand marble courthouse. Andrew, Now Valerie's official physician and closest friend sat beside her as prosecutors detailed every cruel blow inflicted by Victor, his lover, and the two hired enforcers. Each phrase sounded like a hammer strike, and Andrew's scalp prickled. He closed his fingers over Valerie's hand. She turned, her gaze steady, and covered his hand with hers. The verdict was swift, guilty on all counts. Victor's mask crumbled when the sentence was read. As officers led him away, he glared at Valerie, but she no longer felt fear, only calm resolve. Life settled into a new rhythm. Andrew resumed hospital duties, yet never took Katie along. She stayed home with her new mother. Valerie managed her chain of boutique shoe stores from a sunny study, arranging meetings so she could fetch Katie from school whenever Andrew was on call. Evenings became a trio of laughter, homework at the kitchen counter, arguments over pizza toppings, impromptu dance competitions. Wedding plans soon consumed every spare minute. Katie insisted on sprinkling dragonfly confetti down the aisle and rehearsed her flower girl twirls until the family cat retreated under the sofa. On a spring afternoon, Valerie paused on the porch, watching Andrew and Katie play catch beneath the maple tree. The sun turned his lab coat sleeves golden. Katie's giggles floated up like bubbles. Valerie pressed a hand to her heart, grateful for every moment the darkness had spared her. She whispered to the breeze, "Thank you." In the distance, Andrew looked up, met her eyes, and smiled, a promise of days to come. If this story touched your heart, give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. Until next time, stay kind and stay brave.